Mantine is the special counterpart of Skarmory, and it got dealt a much worse hand. Mantine is an extremely niche and specific Pokemon in GSCNU. While it does have some advantages over other water types, like a Spike's immunity and Haze, said advantages don't make up for its numerous flaws and are only really needed on select teams. The things that set Mantine apart from other water types can also be a detriment. Mantine is generally outclassed by other water types, and it only fits onto stall teams. It isn't an automatic inclusion on stall teams, and said teams are niche to begin with. It's kinda like Ariados, who I covered last week. Unlike other water types, Mantine is 4 times weak to electric, which is really damn bad. Mantine is a worse pick than Octillery or Dugong on 95% of teams. I can count the amount of times Mantine has shown up in tournament play on one hand. Let's analyze the Kai Pokemon. Mantine is one of many water types in GSCNU, so let's focus on what it does over the other ones. Firstly, it has a flying typing. This gives it an immunity to ground, letting it dodge ground moves and spikes. An immunity to spikes is a cool advantage over other water types, as it makes Mantine more difficult to wear down. It also lets you pivot into, say, a Dugtrio Earthquake. It also gives you a rock weakness and worse electric weakness, but hey, we're being nice to Mantine now. Mantine does possess a massive special defense stat of 140, which is actually the 3rd highest in the entire game. In GSCNU though, it doesn't do much. A majority of the Pokemon in this tier are physical attackers or special attackers with electric moves. It does let you wall Hidden Power Ice Sawtooth at the very least. The most valuable thing Mantine has over other water types is Haze. Haze is a great defensive move, as it nullifies all stat boosts. Thanks to its typing and Haze, Mantine is the best counter to Growth past Flareon. It outspeeds it, hazes it, and threatens it with Surf. Flareon doesn't use Hidden Power Electric. Growth past Flareon can be a major threat to defensive teams, and Mantine completely stops it. Even if Flareon manages to pass to Dugong, Mantine easily tanks a hit and hazes away the special attack boosts. Haze Mantine is also annoying for agility pass teams, who can be similarly dangerous to stall teams. Haze can also be used to stop Kingler, Wigglytuff, or Statler temporarily. Defensively, Mantine is great against Rapidash, Ninetales, Flareon, Hidden Power Ice Xatu, and Houndour. It also stalemates Ice Beam Octillery and Dugong bar freezes. Mantine Stab Surf hits Pokemon like Dugtrio, Sudowoodo, Magmar, Ninetales, and Rapidash super effectively. Mantine's Surf is actually stronger than Dugong's is, though Dugong is better offensively because it has Stab Ice Beam. Dugong gives it competition on stall teams. Dugong is a better all-around water type, since it's not 4 times weak to electric, though Mantine's access to Haze does give it a place on some stall teams. Stall is the only place you will find Mantine, so its partners are the usual stall suspects. Shuckle can answer some Pokemon that Mantine struggles with, like Weezing, Fearow, and Statler. Mantine can then stalemate Ice Beam Octillery and Dugong, both of whom can threaten Shuckle. Bayleaf can check water types with electric moves, like Chinchou, and Hidden Power Electric Octillery. Bayleaf also relieves pressure off Mantine to check Dugtrio. The combination of Bayleaf and Mantine walls every water type. Ninetales is a good partner as well, since it walls Magmar and can check Hidden Power Electric Xatu. Mantine should only use a Rest Talk set on stall teams, as these sets have the best longevity and they can absorb status. Without Sleep Talk, you're a sitting duck when asleep. Before I get into why Mantine really does suck, I might as well mention Agility Mantine. Agility Mantine is a fringe pick on growth pass teams as a growth recipient. After using Agility, Mantine outspeeds the whole tier and is free to pound opponents with boosted Hydro Pumps, Ice Beams, and Hidden Power Grasses. You can win games with this set, but Dugong is generally preferred over this, because it isn't 4 times weak to electric and physically bulkier. Dugong doesn't just outclass Mantine on growth pass teams though. It, as well as Octillery, are just better on a vast majority of teams. Mantine's flying type brings in an awful 4 times weakness to electric. There's a lot of Pokemon with electric moves in this tier. Xatu and Octillery use Hidden Power Electric, Weezing, Primeape, Persian, and Porygon use Thunder, and Magmar uses Thunder Punch. There's also Chinchou, who blasts Mantine with Stab Thunder. This really impedes Mantine defensively. You can't really use Mantine as a water on most offensive teams, because the most common Xatu and Octillery set to a KO you. Octillery and Dugong don't have this issue, and they are less pressured by other electric attacks. There's also a lot of physical attackers who target Mantine's lower physical defense, like Statler, Fearow, and Persian. Mantine can't fit any other moves on its Surf Haze Rest Talk set, so it's stuck using Mono Water coverage. Pokemon like Chinchou and Gloom easily wall it as a result. You don't put much pressure on the likes of Xatu. While Mantine does have a higher special attack stat than Dugong, it doesn't have Stab on its Ice Beam. Dugong is also bulkier on the physical side. Octillery also outclasses it offensively due to its sky-high special attack stat. Because of their better offensive and defensive potential, both waters match up better against the overall metagame. Mantine only really matches up better versus a select few Pokemon, and the only teams that desperately need, say, a growth past Flareon counter are stall teams. Mantine only fits onto stall teams, and said teams are niche to begin with. On said teams, it still competes with Dugong. Mantine is just extremely specific, and it's always been like this way for it. The 4 times electric weakness is really shitty. Mantine was extremely rare in the Mr. Mime metagame. That metagame resembled the current metagame structurally, while Octillery and Dugong were right there. Mantine was a stall-only pick. Then, the 2018 tiering shifts happened, which caused Octillery and Dugong to fall out of the metagame, in favour of Feraligatr, Poliwrath, and Golduck. Raichu was also extremely common at this time. Needless to say, Mantine was garbage. It was never prominent after the water types and Raichu were banned, because Dugong and Octillery were right there. In the current GSCNU metagame, Mantine is extremely specific and you will very rarely see it.